So My Hero Academia Chapter 430 is finally out, and with it we have finally reached the finale of this series. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final chapter and the end of My Hero Academia. Man oh man, what a journey it's been, huh? But there'll be enough time for reminiscing later. Right now, it's time to end our journey and dive right into My Hero Academia Chapter 430 titled My Hero Academia. This chapter opens up reiterating Midoriya and Shigaraki's final words to one another at the end of the war. You've already destroyed it, and it will depend on what you guys do from now on, before cutting on over to shots of UA as Midoriya's narration from the very first chapter of the series about how not everyone is born equal is repeated, except this time there are a few differences. As Midoriya narrates, people are not born equal. Each of us has a different form or shape, but despite that, we still care for others. And these differences, both internal and external, allow us to run towards other people and search for a point of intersection. However, as this narration briefly cuts away, the first twist of this finale appears as we see none other than a teenage Kota, fully dressed in a UA uniform, run into the UA teacher's room exclaiming, "Big brother Midoriya," before stopping and correcting himself, "Deku-sensei, where should we gather for the afternoon class?" As we see in the teacher's room a grown-up Midoriya in a black suit, just like the one All Might used to wear, writing in his iconic notebooks. As the narration continues, "This is the truth about society that I learned when I was 17. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a time skip and Midoriya is officially a teacher at UA. But before we can see these two interact any further, the story cuts away to a massive montage showing us little moments of what Class 2A and others got up to during this time, in which we see everyone lived quite pleasant and ordinary lives. We see Deku coming home and smiling at Inko, All Might helping Gran Torino to walk and recover, the students taking exams and partaking in the sports festival, Mirko testing new prosthetics, Mount Lady and Kamui Woods working together, and Shoji and Koda shaking hands with a heteromorphic scientist. And in the middle of this montage, the narration continues. "That day, I heard everyone's voices, and that motivates me. If caring for others is the first step to becoming a hero, then that day, everyone was the greatest hero." Before, we see even more of everyone's lives, such as Tokoyami and Hawks meeting up and talking, Aizawa and Present Mike in a graveyard probably paying their respects to Oboro, Endeavor still being wheeled around by Ray and his sidekicks, Deku and the others reuniting with Melissa, Spinner's book about the League of Villains being sold in a bookshop, Mr. Compress reading said book, Bakugo angrily in rehab with his arm, Deku and Ochako together in the snow wearing scarves, and Kota and Eri holding hands while Mandalay is looking on proud. However, as bright and delightful these moments are, just like real life, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. As in the midst of these lovely moments, we also see Midoriya's hand holding the slowly fading embers of One for All. And as we are greeted to the final moments of this montage of Ida giving his speech as class rep during their third year graduation, with Bakugo and Monoma both exploding the wall behind him as is tradition, Midoriya continues, "I was able to live a dream that should have been impossible. The story that began when my body moved before I could even think has come to an end, alongside the embers of One for All." As we see those coveted embers fade away forever from Midoriya's hand. Goodbye, One for All. Yet, despite One for All's absence, the narration continues. Do you want to know why I'm still writing? Well, because there are still some pages left. And with this, the story cuts to 8 years after the final war arc, where we see a group of middle school students talking with their teacher, discussing about what they want to do when they're older. One student shouts out that they want to work in Hatsume's lab, as we see the image of a now older Mei Hatsume. Another that they want to become a great doctor like Dr. Yoshida, the Yoshi-looking doctor. Oh my god, Horikoshi actually named him Yoshi! And another student claims that they want to join La Brava's tech company GEL Incorporated, which in case you didn't catch on, the GE stands for Gentle and the L stands for La Brava. Also a super fun and cute little fact is we actually see Gentle and La Brava here, and as we do, they both notably have wedding rings on their fingers. which means we can assume they got married. Aw, that's cute. But anyways, as the students are calling out what they want to be, a loud student with a rather familiar cocky attitude shouts out that he wants to be a hero. And as he looks over and sees that another timid boy in his class, who we learn is named Dai, also wants to be one, he berates him, claiming that he will never make it with his weak quirk. Bako version 2, I mean the loud boy, then also goes on to state that nowadays there are far less villains, and thusly there is less of a need for heroes. So, in modern times, only those with powerful abilities actually have a chance of becoming one. And with this sentiment, the story cuts to after the school day, where we see Dai walking alone commenting on how people have changed. When he was younger, everyone wanted to be a hero like All Might, Endeavor, Best Jeanist, Deku, or Dynamite. But now, they all seemed to have moved on from that dream, going down different paths, making him insecure and feel more like a child for still holding on and believing one day he could still be just like the greats. Which, as he thinks to himself, is why after school he goes to the All Might statue. But with this, the story cuts away from Dai and all the way over to our main cast, where we get to see what exactly they're up to after the time skip. The first we see is Shoji, who is receiving the Imamura Award for his efforts in peacefully resolving prejudice-based incidents. And as he receives the award, he dedicates it to all of the heteromorphs who marched on the hospital 8 years ago, saying that he's only here today thanks to their will. We then cut on over to the Ingenium, Froppy, Creati, and Uravity team, who are visiting schools all over the country. And it's here where we learn that following the events of the war, Uraraka set up a quirk counseling expansion project, helping people to deal with and overcome any issues they may be facing thanks to their quirks, and is considered one of the most essential aspects of today's society. So in the end, Toga's sacrifice wasn't in vain. Also, another cute note here is, as we see adult Uraraka's hero costume, we can also see that around her neck is Midoriya's mask from his old hero costume. Aw, she's such a cutie. We then get a single panel of teenage Eri hanging out with a guitar and her friends from the music club before cutting back over to Midoriya and Aizawa in UA, where a now short-haired Aizawa shows Midoriya a video of Bakugo screaming at a civilian for filming him too closely, as Aizawa explains that if he keeps doing this, Todoroki is going to shoot well past him in the hero rankings. Even as an adult, he's the same old explosion boy. Midoriya and Aizawa then go on to talk about Todoroki, revealing that in typical Todoroki fashion, he effectively patrols night and day and treats all of his fans very well, which leads Midoriya to believe that he's on his way to pass Mount Lady in Kamui Woods, and if he keeps it up, possibly even Mirio in the hero rankings, hinting that currently Mirio is probably considered the #1 hero. He did it, Sir Night-Eye. It's also interesting to note here that it's mentioned that both Monoma and Hononuki are doing well in the charts as well, and also that Shoto has made such a name for himself that people rarely ever or never refer to him anymore as Endeavor's son. Wait, is his hero name still Shoto? But anyways, as the two are talking about their former students and fellow classmates respectively, Aizawa asks Midoriya if he feels lonely not being out there with them anymore. To which he replies that it was during Fuwa's speech during chapter 425, that he realized he could use his knowledge and experiences to help other people even without a quirk. And he thinks that's a cool way to live. Midoriya then asks Aizawa if he thinks the same way. But Aizawa says that he thinks Midoriya needs to be stricter with his students. Nowadays, most students who enter UA think they're guaranteed to become heroes and make it big. So it's important to be strict so that they don't get too arrogant. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Following this, the story then cuts to Midoriya a bit saddened walking through the city streets, where he begins to think about how he has barely seen any of his friends since graduation, since none of their days off coincide. Wow, this just got really real. And as he's thinking this, he not only notices the Tokoyami merch for sale in the windows and Kirishima being a hero on TV, but also a group of children running around pretending to be his very classmates, with one of them shouting out, "Unbreakable." However, as the kids are messing about, one of them trips and is about to hit the ground hard, which causes Midoriya to instinctively jump forward to try and catch him. And he does, saving the boy from a hard tumble. However, However, in doing this, Midoriya also notices that someone else jumped to catch the boy but fell themselves before reaching him. That other person being Dai. Dai, in seeing Midoriya and recognizing him as the great hero Deku, immediately opens up to him, blathering out his insecurities about the future and how he always comes to All Might's statue when he's feeling down. Ultimately ending this little speech by asking Midoriya, "Can I become a hero like All Might and you?" In hearing this, Midoriya remembers him asking All Might that very same question all those years ago. And as he does, he begins to analyze Dai's quirk in his typical Midoriya way, revealing that Dai has the power to pull plates out of his hair. This breakdown of his abilities initially startles Dai, but he quickly realizes that Midoriya is doing this to find the best ways possible to help him. And upon completing his analysis, Midoriya thinks to himself, "Now it's my turn to give people dreams," before going on to tell Dai that he will be fine, because regardless of his quirk's ability, his body moved to help the falling child before his mind could even think. And as Midoriya begins to walk off with Dai, and we see now that the All Might statue is not alone with its hand in the air, but surrounded by countless other statues supporting him with their hands raised too, Midoriya tells the young, starry-eyed wannabe hero, "You can become a hero." Midoriya then parts ways with Dai, telling him to do his best. And the next thing we see is Midoriya once again standing outside those iconic UA buildings, now as a teacher, looking on, thinking, if I said I'm not a little sad, I'd be lying. However, I can at least encourage other people like that. And that was the story of how we all became the greatest heroes, with the final panel officially stating My Hero Academia end. However, in a final twist, All Might's hand reaches out and grabs the word end and smashes it in his own hand, as he jumps out in front of Midoriya on his way to UA. Midoriya, completely shocked at the now wrinkly and far older looking All Might, tells the former #1 hero that he didn't have to come all the way here. He could have met him at the airport. But All Might states that he's here because he has a surprise gift for his former disciple. And as he pulls out a very technical looking briefcase, he goes on to say the data they recovered from his fight with All For One 8 years ago opened up many possibilities, stating technology evolves just like quirks. Midoriya, in seeing the briefcase and now understanding exactly what it is, exclaims that something like this must have cost a fortune. But All Might merely states that this one was developed by a friend of his from the US, probably referring to Melissa, and Mei Hatsume, and was financed by his Class A alumni, especially Bakugo. And as All Might looks at the now once again teary-eyed Midoriya, he smiles, exclaiming, "Take this to heart, kid. You've earned this power too, fair and square." And as Midoriya smiles, in the next panel we see Bakugo in his hero outfit reaching out his hand, shouting, "Come on, Deku," as Hawks explains that there's been a landslide on a highway, and they need a group of heroes to go out and solve it. We then see Midoriya jump into the air, and as he looks backward from where he jumped, he sees the smiling ghost of Shigaraki, before cutting away to the final double spread panel of the series, where we see the entirety of Class 1A all together again, including both Aoyama and Shinzo in their hero outfits as adults, with Midoriya in a support item supersuit jumping in to help out in Hawks' request, as we are left with the final words, "This is the story of how we all continue to reach out." And that's it for Chapter 430 and My Hero Academia. Man oh man, what a journey it's been. This is usually the part in the video where I say like, comment, subscribe, but to be honest, I want to do something different this time. I want to just say thank you so much for watching. My Hero Academia has been a huge, huge part of my life since first watching in 2017, and you know, it's kind of the reason I created this channel. You know, besides being a failed gaming channel. But the reason I created it was because I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. And this was my way of kind of talking to people about the show I loved. And here we are 5 years later, 5 years of uploading videos later, and about everything from characters, quirks, different analysis, my favorite moments, you know, breaking down just anything and everything about the series. And I have to say, it's been an absolute joy sharing it and experiencing it with all 40,000 of you. Fuck, that's an insane number. Throughout everything. It really has. So, thank you. Thank you for listening and joining me on this journey and letting me talk about something I love. And thank you, Horikoshi, for making this wonderful piece of media that just has inspired and brought so many people together. I am going to miss making these chapter reviews. As for the fate of the Lunchtime crew, I do have a bunch of different things I want to talk about and different videos, ideas already in the works. Some of them My Hero based, very much so, but who knows what's in store. As Midoriya said, it's the end of one story and it's the start of a new one. And on that note, I think I'm going to just leave you as always. So, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. For more content like this, subscribe to the Lunchtime crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. It's lunchtime, but more importantly, don't forget to go beyond. Plus Ultra.